everyone, it's Rita from Miss Rita to the Rescue. Hi, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Infusible Ink pens, and I was working on a project earlier today and I wanted to show you how I used the ink pens on a coaster, how I made that on a coaster. I'm going to break this up into two parts. The first part is going to be about where to find the images that you use to use the pens in Design Space, and the second part will be how to apply what you made on your Design Space. So bear with me. This is part one of this Infusible Ink pen project. Okay, so the first thing that you should know about the inks, Infusible Ink pens, is that they come in two different sizes. The first is 0.4 right here, 0.4 millimeter, and then they've got a 1.0 millimeter, and it's based on that number is based on the width of the pen stroke, and this is standard in the industry, 0.4 being smaller than the 1.0. So if you are looking to do, I think, you know, there's a lot of real beautiful things that can be done with details, but for this particular project, I used the 1.0 size, just simply because I wanted a deeper, bolder line where I was going to be putting a very simple image onto coaster. See? And this one was done in the 1.0. It would work with the 0.4, but it would be a lot more detailed, okay? It would be very finer looking. And I was thinking, since this is a fairly basic shape, even though very pretty, you know, basic shape, I thought a bolder line would be better. So how did I find these? Okay, well, I am a Cricut Access customer, so what I did was I went to my canvas and I did a search of images, and I just typed in, I thought snowflake, since we did have snow today, I just typed in snowflake and came up with oodles and oodles of snowflakes. And at first glance, you'd think that these ones here, because we want to find something simple. We don't want something that is multi-layered, like this thing in the top hand side, or even, let's go down a little bit and see if we can't see others that are a little more, yeah, like something like this that has how many layers? At least four layers. And we don't really want to be looking at multi-layer when we're doing pens, you know, because it could end up becoming a little bit confusing. But what you also want to look at too is you want to look for drawn designs, and those drawn designs show up as more, I suppose they show up looking as if they're drawn, but there's not a big difference. This looks bolder than this one, and so it's important for you to know if it's drawn or not. And if it's not, I'm going to show you how to switch it to drawn. So let's just choose this one, which I know is a drawn design, and we're also going to choose the one right below it, which is actually a cut design. We'll bring it in here. Let's just hide these other groups, okay? And all right, so here we've got this one, which if you look up here to the left hand side, it says cut. So you're not cutting when you're doing this Infusible Ink. You're going to be using the pen, right? So you need to change it to a pen. So it's very easy to do. Just make sure that it's selected, and then go up here where it says cut and choose draw. And it switches it to a drawn image. Now, here's the distinction between an image that was drawn for, it was made for drawing, versus an image that was converted from a cut image to a drawn image, you notice that it when it switches over from cut to draw, it creates like a hollowness to the image, versus the one on the right hand side. There's no hollow image. It's as if a pen was writing on it. Now you can get around this a little bit I should say, if you use a thicker tip pen. But if you don't want to have to deal with going back and maybe having to fill in some of that empty space, you're going to want to choose a drawn image. So in this case, even though we can convert it to a drawn file, it is still going to have the hollowness. This also applies with texts. When you're doing something text that you want to do in a pen, any kind of pen, doesn't have to be Infusible Ink pen. So you need to keep that in mind when you are, always when you're working with pens, that if you convert an image from a cut file to a draw file, it may create some sort of hollowness to create that thickness of the line, okay? So for now, we're going to get rid of this one here because I don't care for that look. And what we have is a drawn image, and this is great. This image is great, and I can size it to whatever I want to make it. In this case, for our coasters, right, these are 3.5 inches wide, so this is a little bit too big. But for instance, if you're doing it on a different thing, such as a shirt or a tote bag or something, you could make it larger. The only restriction here with the drawing with Infusible Ink is it has to fit onto, it basically has to fit onto an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, because that's what you're using when you're using the Infusible Ink. You're using that paper, copy paper, laser copy paper that you use. I don't know if other papers work. I probably need to try that out. But anyway, so we need to keep it within the constraints of whatever it is we're going to put it on. So in this case, we're going to put it on this 3.5 inch wide coaster, right? And these are coasters that come from Cricut.com. Right now, I did go to Home Depot and pick up a couple of different things like tiles and stuff, but I had a hard time finding something that really matched this. So for the time being, we're going to work with the Cricut product, okay, until I can come up with another solution. If there is another solution, I don't know. So, okay, so we're going to be using this. It's 3.5 inches wide, so we want to make sure that we resize this snowflake here. And snowflakes generally are round. You know, they're symmetrical and round. So, so, you know, you don't have to worry about doing the width and the height, because usually when you do the width enough, it will fit, the height matches. So sometimes it's not perfect, but it works that way. So, so here is our perfectly sized image that we're going to want to now go and make it. And what we're going to do is, you can see, to hit make it, and it shows up, and we're going to go to continue, and we're going to choose, in this case, we're going to choose copy paper, which is a selection in your machine. It is a selection that you can choose, copy paper, and remember too, here we're not cutting anything, we're simply using the pen, okay, to make this happen. So I'm going to also get one pen from my box. Here we go, Infusible Ink. I'm going to put it into my machine and choose copy paper. Now, I should point out that because of the symmetrical nature of a snowflake, you do not need to mirror your image, but keep in mind that you may need to do that, and it might be something you want to kind of get into the habit of doing. But if you've already passed that selection, you have to go and edit your screen, which is where I am now. And then I choose this little toggle down here and turn mirror on. In this case, it doesn't much matter, because, like I said, they're symmetrical. But if you wanted to do writing with letters, the drawing with the pen with letters, something that's written out, then yeah, you do need to mirror it, or else you're going to be frustrated because your end result is going to be mirrored, and not in the good way, the opposite way. So I've gone ahead and put my, let me move this over. I've put the pan in my machine, and so it's starting to do the writing, and just take a little bit for that to happen. Now once it's done writing, what I will do, what I've done in the earlier today is I've done different colors. So let's see, there we go. So I've done different colors and different designs. There happens to be, I don't know, a couple dozen of these drawn snowflake designs. And so, let's see. This one here. Yeah. And so I did it in like 3 or 4 different colors. And you notice this is just paper. It's just the paper that I'm writing it on. And one side is darker than the other. And when we go to put this onto our coaster with the machine, with the Easy Press machine, we're going to, I'll show you how to set that up and make that happen in the second video, okay? So, I just wanted to also point out that you can also, in addition to doing pens on the coasters, you can also do it on things such as the Infusible Ink tote bags. Here's our finished snowflake. So you can also do it on the Infusible Ink tote bag. You can do it on the, let's see, the t-shirts, any of the fabrics and what have you. And I wanted to show you this. This is something I did earlier. This is a piece of fabric that comes, they usually, within the box of the Infusible Ink transfer sheets, they give you this little piece of fabric. This is what Infusible Ink t-shirt or onesie is made out of. It's a stretchy material that's got polyester in it. Infusible Ink will only work with a minimum 50-50 poly blend, and also Cricut recommends their blanks for best results. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about swapping out a different substrate. You might not get the exact same results as if you had a Cricut substrate like a t-shirt or a Cricut tote bag or a onesie or whatever. So keep that in mind. So here is our finished drawn image, and I'm going to cut it out and get it ready for our coaster. And that's where we're going to leave you today on this part of the video, because there's another step, and that is getting the image onto the coaster. And I wanted to break it up into 2 pieces, but basically just to give you a preview, what we're going to do is take a blank coaster, and we're going to put the drawn side down onto the coaster. We're going to tape it on, and then we're going to apply heat for our from our Easy Press, 400 degrees, and it's at 240 seconds, and then you'll end up with this end product. So that's it for today's video. Come back later for tomorrow. Come back tomorrow for tomorrow's video on how to apply the or how to use the Infusible Ink pens, okay? And thanks for coming today. My name is Rita, and this is my channel, Miss Rita to the Rescue. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We're doing all kinds of fun things, including all of this Infusible Ink stuff. And we'd really love for you to join us. I think that's it for today. See you tomorrow on Miss Rita to the Rescue.